Hey guys, CEO of PokkeCorp here. AIC, Arts Infliction, Etching, and Artificing. And all these are pretty much foreign terms you have probably never heard before, but not to worry, because the live service release of Arknights Endfield is finally here, and to help you guys adjust to the brand new environment that's going to be coming on the 22nd of January, I'll be giving you guys one of, if not the most comprehensive beginner guide on everything you know about this game before jumping in when the game is going to be coming out. So real quick before we continue, let me just preface that this game itself, which is Arknights Endfield, will be a massive time sink when you want to start a game. And the most important thing to do is whenever you play a brand new video game is to take your own pace and your own time and have the most amount of fun you had, right? Don't rush it, don't try to speed run to the end game, meta, team building, all that, because the daily logging and grind will get a lot better as you slowly improve your factory and unlock new equipments. However, it is very tedious for a non-factory game players at the very start, so if they're out of the way, let us jump straight into it. So first and foremost, the number one priority is going to be the UI, user interface of the game, starting from the main menu. Now, the operators and the events tab are rather self-explanatory. Hey Hunt's the gacha, which we'll delve into in a little bit. The acquisition system is basically the shop, and the operation menu is similar to something like Travel Guide in Honkai Star Rail, which contains your daily missions, progressions, etc. The Access Pass as well as Path of Glory are the Battle Pass and the medals and achievements respectively. EFDB is the database, and the other tabs are pretty much self-explanatory. At the top, you will see your gacha currency in the form of oral barrels as well as oral geometry on top of your sanity. Sanity is the resources you'll be expending when you're farming materials, similar to your Trailblaze power. If an OG Arknights sanity, you will pretty much know why this name is so fitting. Now, I do want to just immediately jump straight into the gacha system, but before I talk about this, kindly check out our previous video right here, where we are going to be addressing everything you need to know about Arknights Endfield's gacha system. So as of right now, there are 4 different banner types in the game: the beginner banner, which is going to be New Horizon, standard banner, charter banner, and the weapon banner. So the beginner banner, as the name suggests, is going to be for the new players, guarantee you a 6-star at just 40 pools. The drop rates for all of these 6 stars for all the 3 different banners except for the weapon is the exact same: 0.8% for 6 stars, 8% for 5 stars, and 91.2% for 4 stars, as well as a guaranteed 5 star every 10 pool. Now for the beginner banner, the special thing is you can essentially earn the 40 pools for free from playing the mission on top of a universal weapon selector simply from progressing through the main story. The pool of 6 stars you can obtain from this banner is going to be Last Rite, Ardalia, Ember, Li Feng, and Pogra Nichiki. And if you are lucky, you can actually pull multiple 6 stars before even hitting the 40 pool guarantee. So for the standard banner, it's pretty much the exact same as your permanent banner for all of the gacha games. Rate and rules are going to be the exact same for the beginner banner, except that the pity system is going to be at 80 pools, which is also the exact same for your rotational rate up banners. There is this nice bonus of a 300 pool selector for a standard banner of your choice, which is also going to be the exact same compared to your beginner banner. For the charter banner, which is going to be the limited banner, once again, refer to this video to kind of break down exactly how this banner is going to be working, but the main thing essentially boils down to 2 things. For the charter banner, which is going to be the rate up banner, you will have 2 different elements. One is going to be the 80 pools hard pity 50-50, which will never guarantee you a 50-50 rate up even if you lose repeatedly, and one is going to be the spark system, first copy at 120, and every subsequent 240 rolls is going to be the additional dupe for the rate up. Now, a couple of brand new mechanics for this specific rate up banner or the charter is going to be at 60 pools, you'll get the Hate Hunting dossier, which will give you a 10 pool for the next banner, as well as a brand new recruitment, where after 30 pools, you'll get a free 10 pool, but this is independent from the rate up PD. Then lastly, for the weapon banner, which is going to be called the Arsenal Exchange, the drop rate here is going to be 4% for a 6-star, 15% for a 5-star, and 81% for the 4-star. And just like the other banners, pity for the weapon banner does not carry forward. And instead of using the standard currency, you can use Arsenal tickets, which you earn by pulling on any character banner, as well as a couple of events and weeklies, which you are going to be getting on the game launch. Every attempt is 1980 tickets, and it's considered a single 10 pool. And note, you cannot do single pools in this banner. When you do obtain a 6-star, it's a 25% rate up and a 75% chance it won't be, but you're guaranteed at least 1 5-star every single attempt, resetting after every single 10 pool. So your first 40 pool is going to guarantee you a 6-star, which is going to be 25-75, and then at the 80th pool is going to be the guaranteed rate up, but this is just going to be a single weapon, just like the rate up is going to be 120 pools for the rate up character. Now, the brand new thing that the CBT has not seen, which is going to be from the dev livestream, is going to be the additional weapon box. So at 100 pools, which is 20 pools after 80, you will get a selector, which does not include the rate up 6-star, and then 80 pools after the 100 pools is going to be 180, you will be guaranteed the rate up 6-star again. So this is mainly just going to be for the whales if you want to pull multiple copies for the weapon, but for the free plays as well as the low spender, you don't have to worry about this. So once again, you want to understand Arknights Gacha system, refer to this video over here as well as this chart over here to get a better understanding. And at this point, this is just going to be my personal opinions for the Arknights Endfield's gacha system. For the pros, it's going to be higher than the traditional drop rates with slightly higher rates, which is going to be 0.8% as well as 4% for the weapons, lower pity threshold for the guaranteed 6-star rate up, free bonus copy at 240, which is going to be for the whales chasing the dupes, and by pulling for the creator banner, you're essentially getting the pulls for the weapon banner for free, since you're only going to be spending your limited currency on one banner, which you then get the pulls for another. There's also going to be a free 10 pool refund for the next banner if you really spend 60 pools, and technically you do have the free weapon pools, but this is only going to be for players who are completely committed for both the first banner as well as the second banner. And lastly, the rotational 3 rate up banners means that you can lose 50/50s to the next rate up at a 2 out of 7 chance or 28%. Now the cons for this banner system is going to be the constant 50/50 repeat before 120 spark, and on top of that, the 120 spark pity does not carry over, and on top of that, the weapon banner rate up is going to be at 25 to 75 instead of 75/25. So to kind of summarize, we can refer to this tweet over here. In essence, lucky players will potentially spend more pools, while unlucky players will definitely spend less pools. So with the gacha system explained, I'm just going to jump into exactly what are the operator weapon types and the gears themselves. So every single operator have a predetermined weapon type they can use, which is going to be obtained from the gacha, shop, quest, and we have news that they have reduced the max level from level 99 to level 90 based on the dev livestream. Now for the weapon itself, just like any other signature weapon you receive from the traditional gacha games, this weapon in Arknights Endfield have a unique effect, which is going to be 3 different traits. The attribute buff, max level 9 starting at level 1, stats buff, which is max level 9 starting at level 1, as well as a unique conditional effect, max level 9 starting at level 1. Now note that for your 3-star weapons, they do not have a unique trait and have weaker first and second traits. The latter is also true for 4-star weapons as well. The weapons attribute buff as well as stat buffs, they are kept at level 3 and the unique trait effect at level 4. Tuning the weapon with specific materials can increase the cap up till level 9, but only for trait 1 and 2. So to increase your trait tree, you would then need to get potential upgrades, which are essentially going to be your dupes. So leveling up your traits will require this thing called etching. What is essence etching? It is pretty much going to be translated as gears for your gear. Basically, the final endgame for Endfield, because for the traditional RNG grinding system in this game, there's no such thing as relic RNG. The only RNG is essentially just for your gear, which different players will take different time to eventually get to their final level, but also at the end of the day, everybody's final endgame weapon will pretty much look the exact same. Now, the best essence in Essence Etching will give you a +6 to both stats and a +3 to your skill. In the right over here, you can see over here, it's going to be a +6 to 2 stats and a +1 to the skill for intellect boost, ultimate game boost, as well as detonate. You can increase the level of said essence by combining another essence on top of it. Each stat is individual to one another, so for the right image is 661, let's just say it was 551. If I were to increase the intellect from 5 to 6, it would take me a massive number of essence because Essence Etching has a chance to fail. If I do succeed, it will go from 551 to 651, and then I'll repeat the process all over again on the second stat to make it 661, and eventually you'll get into the final 663. So in the early game, you can equip whatever regular essence you can obtain from killing mobs or from the domain, which will match your weapon trait. In this example over here, the stable essence matches the agility stat and therefore can be equipped. But to kind of summarize everything a little bit, don't really have to worry about this too much, especially in the early game, but just know that for the end game grind Arknights Endfield, this will be the ultimate highest amount of RNG, and the place where you're going to be dumping the stamina the most. But in the early game, use what you have and just see and progress from your levels, traces, etc. Now moving on to the next part of your equipment, which is going to be your 4 pieces of gears, armor, gloves, toolkits, as well as a tactical, i.e. your consumable item. For your gear sets, there is going to be a 3-piece set where you will increase your stat as well as conditional bonus, as well as a single flex piece, or you're going to be known from your Genshin, the off piece. These gears can be obtained from your crafting. Now note that in Arknights Endfield, your gears have no RNG stats whatsoever. Every single gear will have a fixed stat with no sub-stat rolling. It's always going to be defense, agility, intellect, HP, etc, etc. Now you can craft different versions of gears, which can then vary in stat and titles, but keeps the piece bonus effect. For gears specifically, there is this thing called artificing. So gears that give different attributes and stats can still provide you the same set bonus. So now, because there is no RNG involved in gear, which is for example your substats, your high rolls, your low rolls, and for example your crit rate, crit damage, speed rolls, all these does not exist in Arknights Endfield. Each substat, however, can be further increased up to a certain point by sacrificing another piece of gear and using a catalyst. This is very similar to previously the weapon banner. You want to sacrifice an essence to make the essence for the weapon even stronger. We are going to call this process artificing. But do know that artificing can fail and will destroy the piece of gear you were originally going to sacrifice, as well as the catalyst yield. The main piece of gear, however, is going to be untouched, and you do get some credits back as compensation. So that's gonna be the development for the equipments for your characters, and now jumping into character levels, stats, and types. So for Arknights Endfield, the character will go from level 1 to 90, which has been adjusted from CBD3, which previously was used to be level 99, with every single breakpoint at 20 levels, with skill levels being tied to such breakpoints. Think of this as Hongai Star's Ascension, where you cannot level your traitors beyond a certain level unless you unlock the next Ascension. Now, each skill goes up to level 9, and further upgrades are called Masteries. This is pretty much the exact same as, for example, the Hamster Cage you'll get from Zen Zone 0, or the Aggers of War materials you're going to be getting from level 8 to level 10 Traces. Each skill will then get upgrades up to Mastery 3, which each of these Mastery levels require a very specific material, just like OG Arknights, and a Mark of Perseverance, which is the material that you guys can see from the previous livestream, where the devs will be giving us a free Mark of Perseverance. So for Arknights Endfield, their stats are going to be split between Strength, Agility, Intellect, and Will. Now, operators will have one of them as their main attribute, which is going to give you high attack percentage, and one of them as a secondary attribute, which will then give you a smaller attack percentage. The attribute increases will be given by your levels as well as gears. Taking a look at your different classes: Guard, Caster, Striker, Vanguard, Defender, and Support. Now, your main DPSs are going to be usually Guard, Caster, and Strikers, while the other roles are primarily going to be focusing on Support as well as Sustain. I'll talk a little bit more about the elemental system, which is going to be right here, jumping straight into a basic combat mechanics in Arknights Endfield. The game itself is actually having quite a lot of different combinations, especially for your elemental reaction, as well as combinations, rotations, and timings, but today is just going to be a super baseline combat mechanic, just to see how this game is actually going to be feeling. So Arknights Endfield's actual combat itself, it will heavily rely around team building, which will then revolve around your synergy and combos, while applying two things: physical as well as art affliction. For a physical, it's going to be split amongst a different thing compared to your arts, which is going to be 4 different effects. Lift and Knockdown generates +1 vulnerable stacks, different animation but the exact same effect, whereas Crush and Breach will consume vulnerable stacks. Crush will deal more damage, and Breach will deal less damage but will apply more debuffs. So on top of that, we also have a bonus reaction specifically just for ice, where if you were to use the physical on Cryo, it will cause Shatter, creating our only available Shatter team. Now, aside physical, there's also another thing called the Art Infliction. This is also known as Art Damage. Operators will then apply stacks based on their damage type, which can then trigger 2 things: Art's Burst as well as Art's Reaction. Art's Burst is going to be triggered from 2 inflictions of the same element, where Art's Reaction will trigger from 2 inflictions of a different element. The reaction is going to vary based on this chart you're going to be seeing over here. The effect can stack on the more initial stacks there are before the second element. So for example, 4 stacks of electric plus 1 fire will generate more heat damage versus 1 stack of electric with 1 heat damage. So you can see from this chart, physical is going to give you all of these different effects. Heat is going to give you heat burst, electric, cryo, nature will all of them giving their respective bursts. And then for the reaction, you have combustion, which will generate heat damage over time, electrification, which will allow you to take more art damage, solidification, which is a temporary stun, which will then also trigger physical for shatter, as well as corrosion, which will reduce overall rest. Then on top of the elemental system, there's also this mechanic which is very similar to Toughness Bar in Warding Waves as well as in Zone 0 with the stagger mechanic. So enemies will have stagger meters. You can build up these meters through reactions, attacks, combos, ultimate, etc. When you do stagger an enemy, they are going to be immobilized for a duration and your attack becomes a finisher attack. This attack can then restore SP and deal greater damage. Stagger can also interrupt attacks or abilities, and this synergizes with weapon and gear as well. Now keep in mind, from one of the updates in the livestream, they did mention that basic attack chain animations are no longer interrupted after you're going to be able to dodge in between battle, which will then make it a lot smoother for you guys to activate your chain reactions, because normal basic attacks before the final hit actually do not give you any stagger meter damage. Then to further complement your combat abilities, especially in the overall, you can also create combat towers, which will then assist you in battle by either damaging the enemies or healing or protecting allies. But keep in mind, this is not going to be available for the endgame content, which we're going to be talking about in the future. So that is pretty much it for a bare bones on what to expect in Arknights Endfield. So for day 1 level progression, you can sort of take a look at something like this we have over here. So the most number 1 priority is going to be your auto industry complex. So these things are essentially going to be where your towers and pylons are going to be used to power your AIC units. You will obtain 2 portable Originium rigs, which will place near Originium ore areas. They have a max capacity of 50 ore, so constantly emptying them out in the first hours of the game is absolutely mandatory for your progression. After planting these rigs as your main priority, it should be to progress in the main story. Defeat the bosses, clear the areas, and you will unlock more AIC functions and the ability to use Sanity, which is basically your stamina in HSR. Spending all of your sanity on the level 1 trial immediately is recommended because your sanity cap scales with your authority level, thus it will fill up faster at the beginning. After progressing more, you can then unlock the electric mining rig, which will then go back to your old portable rigs and replace them with this electric mining rig. To activate them, you also need to place them near 2 electric pylons as well. Connect these relay towers to the automation core and then connect to the relay tower for 2 electric pylons, thus supplying your mining rigs. This will then fully automate your originium ore collection. From this point on, you'll be greeted with more AIC content tutorial from the story, and you'll eventually receive new objectives upon reaching level 15. On average, you should be around level 11 or level 12 on day 1. Now, some additional recommendations: farming the protocol space is gonna be really good because promotion is your best early game protocols since it will give your operator promotion levels along with EXP. Pick up every single protocol data log you can find on the map and fight elite bots who can guard chests for even more income. Open all chests and interactive pouches as long as you see them, and harvesting rare growth areas as you come across them as well. Clear every single temporary alluvium you can find and connect all electric nexus points to your relay towers for more EXP and rewards. Lastly, complete any puzzle activity you can come across to get yourself the level as high as you can to reach level 15 as fast as possible. Now, one thing you guys have noticed is I did not implement a blueprint guide for you guys because, frankly speaking, PokkeCorp's CEO is going to be a little bit cooked for the blueprint segment, so maybe in the future this might be coming a little bit more focused. But for now, my objective is just to basically play the game, getting your progression, building your units, and getting your teams up for the meta as well as endgame in the future. So with that, we have pretty much come to the end of our day 1. Everything you need to know about Arknights Endfield summarized within, I'm guessing, 20-ish minutes. So let me know where guys in the comments below. We'll be cooking up more guys in the future, so please stay tuned for Arknights Endfield content. All the best of Gacha Pools, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.